shore hawezi changanya majani na koko kwa kombe moja ya chai na kufeel lakini roho yangu Christ pia anadai sikawi tukiendelea homos kutamka mavazi kuteremka aibu majuto zaidi kupambika ama ukitoka vizitika sirika Cerelac na napkin kwa budget kuhitajika sina teta sina after tatu dija roho yangu walibai na damu msalabani nataka wakunikaingia ndani ya vitunguu siwaka kwa couch remote control kwa mkono meza miguu juu shore ni show ya nipende peke pete nipende yeah
pendo kweli
Raya msichana ni virginity sifa chali ni kushana ye bed na blanketi unaninokia gari 66 and a Nokia una marimanzi sababu ya super na hips jeuze time ikizipanguza off una sugar daddy familia kuvujika divorce nivo kitanda yake kaburi wanaongozwa na last vidole ilikuvalisha pete inakupa black eye fika vida ficha fikra boxa ilipatikana juu ya bed mapenzi inavumilia chai tubia urembo inavuta karibu lakini inahifadhiwa na tabia
and I met it. Yeah, pendo kweli. Macho wazi.
Kiboko chidi huku bega nikiwa mtun that's love Boko msumavi Calvary that's love Take away wimpy Maua movie najua hivi Tengana nawe aki Sha move buttons of blouse Uwe just another topic my bless Na miss not Cupid ya seas Tangu ma Southport K-Swiss Ana feel kielisha keys I'm a fall not love From album The Nameless K-Shaka Big Pin Bible verse and I'm Isaiah John 3:16 Definitely not love
Pendo kweli. Macho wazi. Eyes not open. I say pendo kweli. I said again and again and again. Macho wazi.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Hello there, good morning. My name is Omonde Chuka, and this is Power Morning Drive on Power Radio. I don't know how your weekend has been, but mine has been really grateful. We have had a long weekend. Wanasema midterm ya adults. Yeah, so tumeenda midterm tukarudi. Kuna vile semester inaendelea. So sijui kama uli have a good Easter. I had a good one. Do tell us how your Easter was, how you spent it. Did you spend it with your loved ones? Or mulichill tu mtaani? Did you run an errand? Or what did you do during your Easter? How was it for you? Do talk to us on Twitter or X at Power Morning Drive, #Power Morning Drive. Today I have lined up for the show a very interesting topic for you. But before we get there, I don't know what happens for you. Holidays usually put very important pause in our lives. And we get to think about life in general. We get to figure out, because right now I think it also coincided with kids closing school this week. It also coincided with the end month. It also coincided with a lot of things. The Palm Sunday was the other week. So I don't know what you were thinking of. What did you reflect on? What did it allow you to think about, in your life, in your area of work? Do talk to us on every socials at Power Morning Drive, hashtag Power Morning Drive. And I'll be listening to you. I'll be sharing your thoughts as we go along. This is Power Morning Drive. I don't know what next to do, but I think you will talk to me on Twitter or X or Facebook on all our socials of Power Morning Drive and hashtag Power254. Before we get there, I'll be having 2 more songs and then we can get to the meat of our discussions today. If you're driving to work, if you are already at work, if you are at home doing your chores or just waking up, welcome to the show. And this is Power Morning Drive. My name is Omondi Chuka. I'm your host today.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night. Right here on your only station, Power Radio.
So getting old. Leo sipangi line na kuwaga busy sinaga time. Hizi changamoto zina divide, lakini baraka za multiply. Leo najifeel sitadinai, na moyoni amona hai. Akili sauti, braids and beauty, no throwing shade bali kuna shine. Kuna vile vitu kwa ukarimu hapa kuwepa, yatapita sindikiza kwa rehema. And it is clear there's nothing to fear ukiamua. Yatapita na tutafika salama. Lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga. Usiyafikirie tena. Moyo mwepesi chakacha style. Oh, what a time to be alive. Feel the vibe, don't you ever be sorry. Usipoteze time ukiwori. Hata wakijaza ngori, shida zao wabebe kwa lori. Kuna vile vitu kwa ukarimu hapa kuwepa, yatapita sindikiza kwa rehema. And it is clear there's nothing to fear ukiamua. Yatapita na tutafika salama. Lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga, lenga lenga.
Sunrise to sunset, all day and night.
Difficult,
Power Radio.
but not impossible.
Need somebody give me love, love. Good love and give me love, love. Need somebody give me love, love. Good love and give me love, love. I have a problem. My friends, I have a problem. I have a problem. My friends, I have a problem. It's not a money problem. It is a different problem. It's not political problem. It is a different problem. I have a problem. My friends, I have a problem. I have a problem. It is a serious problem. I need love. love, I need comfort, I need peace of mind, I need support. No man can sort that. Only woman transport that. I need love, I need comfort, I need peace of mind, I need support. No man can sort that. Only woman transport that. I need love, I need comfort, I need peace of mind, I need support. No man can sort that. Only woman transport that. I have a woman problem. I have a woman problem. I need love, I need comfort, I need peace of mind, I need support. No man can sort that. Only woman transport that. You could be woman, one be a chop chop. You could be woman, one be a chop chop.
My woman, my everything, my pretty thing, my steady thing. Strong enough for ways that carries or heavy things, like my wedding ring or even scary things. I'll dream more than I'm starting so vocal. Anajua anachotaka pia weze kutafuta. Ajeshimwa zingatenda mwimsoto yanovuta. Mwenyezi yupo na wenye subira ajepushe na pupa. Anpende kama live nipe peace of mind. Kwanza mental hadi physical ni ziko grind. Nikimoa afanye ndoa I last a lifetime. Pia we smart kiasi kwamba wanajua to play dumb. Niko na problems. Na nake ndo pekee who can solve them. Wakuno koni women, wengine kwende ni zen. Na kitu poa kuhusu women, there are so many of them.
There's a God in every woman, for the devil in every man. She's the core that makes us human. Give her seed, she'll make a man. And if you love God, you love a woman. Cause it takes a woman to raise a man. And there's a woman for every woman. And a woman for every man. I need love, I need comfort, I need peace of mind, I need support. No man can solve. Only woman transport. I need love, I need comfort, I need peace of mind, I need support. No man can solve. Only woman transport. I have a woman problem. I have a woman. I have a woman problem. I have a woman problem. I have a woman problem.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Hello there, good morning. My name is Omondi Chuka and this is Power Morning Drive. Today we're going to reflect or recap on the Easter weekend. Watu wameenda midterm na wengine wanasema adulting hakunaga midterm. Ni school ikienda ni hivyo tu. Hakunaga siku unaenda holiday. So I don't know how your weekend was. Do tell me how your weekend was on Twitter or X at Power Morning Drive, #Power Morning Drive. As we drive to the conversation today, I'll be introducing that shortly after. But we have on the headlines today, we're going to look at that as well. But I also want us to recap on what Easter means for you, especially amongst the Christian folk. Easter is a time of redemption, a time of self-reflection, a time to think about your life, think about your perspectives, think about where you want to go, your vision. And I'm sure this very needed break gave us a good time to reflect on that. I don't know about your life, but I think that if a pause is needed, then we can also put in place the things that can drive us forward and make us have a better life. So do talk to us on our socials, Power Morning Drive and Power 254, everywhere. And my name is Omondi Chuka. Today we don't have my co-host, Odur Jagero. I think I'll travel home, so labda alienda Vasha na tujui. So amechukua ka break kadogo, but I think he'll be joining us later on or Friday. But before that, I'll have two songs and then we get to the headlines today. Yeah.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
all or nothing. Can we make it happen? If you're ready like I'm ready, put your radio on. What's your love language? Let me talk to you some more. Me changing my words and my behavior, trying to read you my vows, trying to show it out loud. Unanimaliza kwanza vimeja, nasikia hadi kushout. Unaniwacha kwa drought, siwezi baki without mapenzi yako bila. Unanimaliza all or nothing. Can we make it happen? If you're ready like I'm ready, put your radio on. What's your love language? Let me talk to you some more. Some more, some more, some more, some more. Can I talk to you some more? Some more, some more, some more, some more. Can I talk to you some more? Sile utu ni pile pile, en pile pile. Penzi letu si vile vile, jukuna vile. Mwanangu nimebahatika, mwanangu nimepata kipa, mwanangu nimetajirika, mtoto amenishika mshipa. Sister kanimaliza, kisha akona sifa. Ama nasimp, jumi sitaki kujinx. Ama nasimp, jumi sitaki kujinx. Can we make it happen? If you're ready like I'm ready, put your radio on. Our song is blasting, and I hope you're dancing. If you're ready like I'm ready, put your radio on. What's your love language? Let me talk to you some more. Give me something, a little something. Nimekuona, nishakuona. I was searching, no longer searching. Nilikuona, nikapona. Please, please, tell me if you're ready for this deal. This deal. I just wanna know if you're in. Oh, all or nothing. Can we make it happen? If you're ready like I'm ready, put your radio on. Our song is blasting, oh yeah. And I hope you're dancing. If you're ready like I'm ready, put your radio on. What's your love language? Let me talk to you some more.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Pawa Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Pawa Radio.
Tembekali twende kazi. Yeah, yeah. Sauti ya headphones kiasi. Yeah. Yeah, in danger, katikati ya crossfire natafuta chuom ya kuhepa. Insane, vile wako na guts, sifikiri wa ufikiri kwanza juu kabla wabonge shonde. Mode alikata kurudi daro shikachoku usome. So siona likata poli alidai kwa dila 60% ni must yo. Can't pay, won't pay, bankrupt. Polisi za serikali hazina do next time. So wakaona wachigade kwa park, wakanipea namba za M-Pesa na bank. Nyumbani mbona si feel at home, kila time kunizoom 3D na machrome. Lifetime chong tapa in9 funga job, watu wako wa ripoti monyasema Mayday, tafadhali naomba usaidizi sasa. Mayday, wamepanga kunikila wataki mini breathe hapa yeah. Mayday, fly 254, watchtower, do you read me? Mayday, do you read me? Mayday, yeah. Tubadilisha kubadilisha tena katiba. Si mlisema iko fiti man hamridhiki. Mlikata kulipa taxi kabidi nimeanza kulipa dabo ya kile nina earn. Ilikuwa long run, please wait, long term goals to shortcut wakichase power na fame. Kwanza kwa benki imekuwa long day, kurecover ni deadly juu walikuja na divider kugawanya angle tribalizer. Tamaduni zetu diverse wamegeuza siasa, fungua eyes kaka yo for the throne not a die hard. St. John walisema wana die blood, wako busy wakifight words, wamechia mina saliva. Masquerades Mandela na other places, sad faces all over the state. Blame game wanacheza na jet wanajua end game wana fake what a shame. Pride wakidai in 5-star hotel, we utakula badai wacha saisi to make yo. Sioni tukisurvive I say. Iteni pasari za light my way, sema mayday tafadhali naomba usaidizi sasa. Mayday wamepanga kunikila wataki mini breathe hapa yo. Mayday flight 254 watchtower do you read me? Crash wakidai yeah. Mayday tafadhali naomba usaidizi sasa. Mayday wamepanga kunikila wataki mini breathe hapa yo. Mayday flight 254 watchtower do you read me? Mayday do you read me? Yeah, mayday tafadhali naomba usaidizi sasa. Mayday wamepanga kunikila mini breathe hapa. Mayday flight 254 watchtower do you read me?
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Habari asubuhi, hii ni Power Morning Drive na mimi ni Mondio Chuka. Sijui kama Pasaka yako imekuaje, imekuwa vipi, imekuwa fiti? Did you have some good time with your family and your loved ones? I had a good time. I had spent my time with grandma and we were talking about life and enjoying life. Yeah, that's good, yeah? So do talk to me. Are you at work already? Are you at home, still chilling? What's happening on your end? So today I'm going to go to the headlines and talk about what's making the headlines. Before we get there, news is getting a bit thick now. Okay, on the Daily Nation, MPs plot to control 96 billion roads kitty to make it mandatory for Kenya Roads Board. And they want Kenya Roads Board to consult them on roadworks, particularly those that pass through their constituencies. On page 2, we have how to keep your child out of trouble during school days. Very important. Now that watoi wanafunga next week, this week, yeah? On Friday, most of them on Thursday, some of them are already home. I don't know what you're going to do in place, but it's good to understand where your kid is, where the headspace of your child, and how they manage their time during the holidays so that they don't veer off into unhealthy coping mechanisms. And then we are looking in terms of court sentences priest to spread gospel of sexual offense act. This particular priest, had an indecent act with a minor. How awful. How awful. I mean, sometimes I think the priests have a bit of a higher moral ground in terms of how they, because they are custodians of our law, custodians of our morals. And our kids are supposed to be safe with them. So this is coming out as a big shock for most of us now, because the person, all the people, all the institutions that's supposed to protect our children, they're not safe there anymore. And then on page 4, we have litmus test for Ruto, Raila in party elections. I think this is regarding the primary elections that are supposed to happen in ODM and UDA. On page 6, we have U.S. flags corruption in the judiciary and public contracts. Is this any news, really? We've been talking about how public tendering has been an issue, how the issue of those tenders is not in our midst. And in the Standard, we have on the front page, inside power struggles in Raila's party. ODM is rocking the boat, and they're having power struggles in terms of who's going to succeed the chairman of the party, Mr. Raila Odinga. On page 2, we have state acts on doctors, issues, and ask them to call off the strike. It's very funny. Let me just highlight a few of the issues that I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago when we were highlighting the strike, the doctors' strike. So some of the KPMDU demands include, 1, implementation of the 2017-2022 CBA demands. This is collective bargaining agreements that was done during Uhuru's tenure. and then CBA negotiations, and then end to salaries delay because most of the medics have not been paid for some months, some of them as much as 3 to 4 months. And then we have remittance of statutory deductions and insurance premiums. And then we have comprehensive medical insurance for all doctors in the Republic of Kenya. And then we have employment of all doctors out of employment. Very funny because we have a shortage of doctors. The ratio between the population and doctors is very small, and we are not meeting that requirement adequately. And it's very sad to see that other doctors are out of employment or have not been paid yet. And then we have the provision of adequate protective gears. This is like something like PPEs that was very important during COVID-19 for all in health facilities. And then we have postgraduate training and promotion of doctors to their right job groups, and then posting of interns, the medical interns. And then lastly, we have creation about the state of our healthcare and also my journey with cancer. And then on page 4, we have families in pain after 10 killed and scores injured in road accident. As you're driving to work or you are leaving mashambani, unarudi mtaa, unarudi tao, do take care. If you're a driver, drive safely. Keep the safety of your abirias in your hands. Take care of the rules and regulations of the road. And then we have on page 5, we have cancer cases, STS, infertility in young adults linked to unsafe sex. I think this calls for a bit of a more in-depth analysis. I think we should look at this in next time, yeah? Because we see there's a huge change in how our young people conducted themselves, particularly in sexual and reproductive health, so that we can empower them with education, so that we can empower them to make better decisions regarding their health. And then we have on page 7, a bill seeks heavy fines or jail term for IEBC officials who bungled poll. I think that is due time, but I don't know how it will solve the issues that we have with IEBC, particularly during our electioneering period. And we have on page 8, Ruto picks KRA boss to lead UDA poll board and quell wrangles within his party. And then on page 8, we have from orphanages to family setup, foster care parents recall their journey. This will be the meat of our discussion today as we reflect on what is happening within our Children Care Act. And then on Business Daily, on the front page, we have the US flags Kenya over bribes, extortion in public tenders. And on page 2, they are asking, what will you do or what will happen if you stopped using sugar? How many of you are using sugar? I know it's a very addictive thing to leave and just changing abruptly and saying, nah, I'm not using sugar anymore. That's one of the hardest things for many people. But I think with lifestyle audit, we can be able to prevent a lot of lifestyle diseases, and we can also be able to lead a more healthy life. And then on page 4, we have CBK seen holding rates on easing inflation and forex pain. The dollar has, the Kenyan shilling has gained a bit of between, I think, 9 to 12% against the US dollar. So that's a good thing. I think it's showing up a bit of a good recap on it. Hopefully, in the next 2 to 3 months, in the next quarter, it's going to stabilize well for us. And then we have consumer pain as cooking gas prices up record high. And that ends the discussion on headlines today. I'm going to have 2 songs before we come back. My name is Umonde Chuka, and this is Power Morning Drive.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
K6.
I'm intruders.
Easy. Yeah. Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his old lips in a glow. Niko na wetu this stuff is stone, hadi kunyeshe makate ndo. Kwa nini, kesho. Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his old lips in a glow. Niko na wetu this stuff is stone, hadi kunyeshe makate ndo. Don't say no more, don't say no more. Don't say baby girl, some sure I got you. Took a step in expensive show. Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his lips in a glow. Niko na wetu this stuff is stone, hadi kunyeshe makate ndo. Don't say no more, don't say no more. Baby girl, some sure I got you. tukistep ni expensive show. Ntaka unisikize, yeah, yeah. Nisikize. Ntaka unisikize, yeah, yeah.
Lips aligned and glossy, body and time don't cost me. Sweet and cold like frosties. Don't touch my locks, please. You caught in these laser beams, silky smooth like buttercream and ice cream. You scream, vixen in your fever dreams, baby. Don't be going crazy. Your eyes are shooting beams with electricity. Don't faze me. Let's not get too hasty. Excuse me, summer honey. Tryna take my spot like he need higher as a Kanye.
Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his lips in a glow. Niko na wet to this stuff is storm. Adi kunyeshe my cats and dog. Don't say no more, oh, don't say no more. Baby girls, I'm sure I got you. Took a step near expensive show. Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his lips in a glow. Niko na wet to this stuff is storm. Adi kunyeshe my cats and dog. Don't say no more, oh, don't say no more. Baby girls, I'm sure I got you. Took a step near expensive show. Ntaka unisikize, yeah, yeah. Nisikize. Ntaka unisikize, yeah, yeah.
When the kapos on a journey, napenda everything about you. Na friends zako wakulia moto, that's why skizi una rock na few. Wanna die at you, unajidu. Kila time status akiview. Wanna jam at mpaka na mute. Wako short to ski, wako confused. Now tuko 24th November, but I'm always Thanksgiving. You don't know how you got me tripping. My babongo juve when you got me simping. I said you gonna doze and I'm dreaming, but sincerely that's how I'm feeling. I said you gonna doze and I'm dreaming, but sincerely that's how I'm feeling.
But sincerely that's how I'm feeling. Nisikize, I don't wanna let go. Let me talk for a second. Shh. Don't say no more. Najua nikimove nikigo utakama ukinoko mado. So ka bop na kucheska do. So ka cash na ncheska do. Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his lips in a glow. Niko na wet to this stuff is storm. Adi kunyeshe my cats and dog. Don't say no more, oh, don't say no more. Baby girls, I'm sure I got you. Took a step near expensive show. Bed near 3x4, squeeze and shine his lips in a glow. Niko na wet to this stuff is storm. Adi kunyeshe my cats and dog. Don't say no more, oh, don't say no more. Baby girls, I'm sure I got you. Took a step near expensive show. Ntaka unisikize, yeah, yeah. Nisikize. Ntaka unisikize, yeah, yeah.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Agriculture, communication, entrepreneurship, investment, horticulture, exportation, leadership, development, poor planning, no facilities, shutdown, lockdown, no activities. You wanna see my creativity? Shut down Babylon primitivity. For the people, by the people, and with the people. Democracy, equality, justice, practice, integrity, people, power, potential, possibilities, power, people, possibilities, potential, people, power, potential, possibilities, power, people, possibilities, potential. Mitazi na sauti isipokuwa risasi, wezi wa suti kulipiza kisasi. Ala, uchungu ya uzazi have mercy. Uchumi, huzuni, uchumi duni, si utani, samahani, vijijini, mitaani. Masista, mamista, society, anxiety, methali, mafumbo, tafsiri, mashairi na kariri kwa akili, jamani, jangwani. Hey, na rap culture kishua. Si mablink kuhang vitu chini ya pua. Hatua baada hatua, chini ya jua kuna mpya si unajua. People, power. People, power, potential, possibilities. Power, people, possibilities, potential. 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 Si kwa traffic, daily ni congestion. Si wanafiki wanataka divide nation. Si mashabiki wako radhi kila occasion. Umesoma ukahitimu zero job the occupation. Crazy, kiwa si better than prevention. Rumors za war, kuna blood, kuna tension. We want peace and education. Transport is better health accommodation.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Kati ya watakaofutwa machozi na mimi nimechaguliwa, kilio changu cha muda mrefu amekisikia. Hakuna tena cha mikosi, ni kufanikiwa. Wa zamani si wa sasa, mambo yamebadilika. Imekula kwendwe, namjua ninayemtumikia, namjua ninayemwimbia, mfalme wa wafalme, funguo ya maisha yangu. Nilicheka sana mpaka kudiriki kusema, namwamini Mungu asiyeona. Na niliposema nitajenga majumba, yani nilicheka sana. Niliposema nitamiliki magari, mkaguna ndoto ya mchana, mkasema ni ndoto.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Emotion because I'm human. I feel emotion because I'm terrified of losing myself to all the taunting, judging, and confusion, losing myself to all the guided disillusion. But I know that the solution isn't to shut my mind off spiritual evolution, but to detach myself from all the misconceptions, because it's not complex to believe in true connection. It might be hard, but it's a necessary lesson, stepping stones to guide me in the right direction. Mind, body, soul needing clarity and protection, because I'm sick and tired of games, shallow shit finessing, never really learning how to be your own possession. Instead, we're learning how to be fucking depressed and believe our bodies never temple, only wreckage. Believe our souls never pure, only sentenced to life without parole, bound to be forgotten. Our dreams and aspirations continuously drowning. The demons of our past, they're beckoning, they're calling, fucking screaming retribution. But we cannot be free until we lose this belief that we have to be used and seduced by the facades and the dreams. Because we are the necromancers, in control of our poles and rising from the ashes.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Hello there, good morning. Umefika job ama bado uko mtaani ama una travel ukitoka mashambani? I know a lot of us traveled back to the village to be with our families and spend time there. Some of us were out of the city enjoying life. There was a safari rally in Naivasha, they call it. All right, so today we are going to talk about the plight of children care institutions. And in our first segment of the radio program, we're going to realize that Kenya is making a big change in how it cares for its most vulnerable children. The government's National Care Reform Strategy aims to move away from institutional care, transitioning some 45,000 children back to their families over the next 8 years. And in our first section, we're going to look at what does this mean for us? Because I have said earlier that the children we give birth to form the bedrock of our future. If we give them a better foundation, if we give them a healthy environment to cope and grow up in, then we are assured of a future that can be brighter, that can be better. The idea, I don't know how what your thinking is for those of our listeners listening from all over the world. You can also check us from the website power254.org. I don't know what your thinking is, but my idea of giving birth or bringing life into this earth is so that they can have a better life, so that they can have better chances than we had. I'm very sure a lot of us, grew up with parents telling us, I went to school bila viatu. Wewe hata nilikununulia viatu na mimi sikuwa na hiyo viatu nikigrow up. So that's the issue for a lot of us. And so when you see your child with a good uniform, and you never went to school with one uniform, but you just went with one yenye ulikuwa unaosha leo, kesho asubuhi unaraukia. And it used to be done, ilikuwa na, as Luz used to call it, yundi ugedo eboy. Oyundi is a very funny bird that has very ugly nest. So some of us went to school with those uniforms zenye ziko na hiyo oyundi yenye imegedo huko chini. So that was a very unfortunate experience for a lot of us who never were that privileged. And so when we bring a child to this earth, we expect, at least, or even hope, that they will have a better life, that they will have better opportunities. And that is one of our moral responsibilities when we go to work, when we wake up every day and go to work and go to our hustles. You're doing it. Most of us are doing it. You ask somebody, why are you going to work? Why are you hustling so hard? Man, I'm doing it for my child. I want my child to go to better school. I want my child to have better health. I want my child to go to the university so that one day they have a good job, a better job than I have. So we realize that a lot of us never grew up with the same set of circumstances. Some of us lost our parents when we were young. Some of us didn't know our parents at all. Some of us were raised by our grandparents like I was. Some of us grew up with relatives, tossed around from one relative to another. Some of us didn't have any means whatsoever. They were raised by the street. They had knock streets. So the circumstances around which a child grows is very important for their well-being, the overall well-being, from their social health to their intellectual growth, to their sense of self and identity, which is very important when they're transacting through the world, when they're interacting with other people all over the world, and when they're making a meaning out of their own lives. So if you give them a better foundation, then we are assured that our country is going to steer in the best directions. So I thought today we are going to delve deeper into this discussion and realize what are we contesting over? Because last week, I think we touched on this issue. It had not already been brought to the headlines, but we touched on it a little bit. And we said that there are more than 740 registered children's home and institutions of care all over the country. And this is not a small number because, as we realize, most of these orphanages, or as we call them, are very highly populated. You find that one that has a capacity of, let's say, a bed of 20 children has 60 or even 100. So they need to share amenities, they need to share a bed, they need to share the bathroom. Some of them even share clothes. I mean, one of my groups where we usually go around, we have had it since I was in college. We usually go around to children's home that we have visited for this last, I think, 15 years now. And sometimes we donate our clothes, sometimes we donate food stuff, and sometimes we even contribute to their projects like building classrooms and dormitories. And this is a very noble idea that I could also push to your end as a tab so that you can look at your life. If you are a little privileged, let me just scrap that. If you have a little bit of an extra love and care that you want to share, you can look around because kwa kila mtaa kuna orphanage. Kwa kila mtaa kuna familia enye wako unfortunate, labda walilala njaa, labda wana food, labda moja alipata marks mzuri lakini hakuweza kuendelea na masomo yake. So we need to step in. And this is what I was talking about earlier before my mic went mute. And it's a beautiful thing to recap it, that something I love about life is, and I was talking about this with one of my friends over the weekend, about holding space. As adults, we live, once you become an adult, you see, nobody even tells you. You're about 21, you're still thinking, hey, kuna bado time. Unaenda rev. Do they still call it rev? I wonder. So, unaenda rev, life yako inda faster. You just, it's on the go. It's on the now. You don't care about the future. You don't care about anything. But 22, 23, you start to become more serious. By that time, most of us wamemaliza kole. Or if you just went straight into hustle, you're now, a vet. You're a vet kwa street. So more important discussions start to trouble your mind. You're thinking about your family. You're thinking about your siblings. You're thinking about getting a family and having a wife or a husband. You're thinking about your future, having an investment or a savings account. You're thinking about, what if I die? You see, this is the things that actually visit you when you begin to think about very fundamental questions about life. And so we may find ourselves wearing so many hats at the same time. And yet we are just children. What are we just children inside? All of us are childlike somewhere inside. And so we need to hold space for each other. And this is the same thing we are asking of our listeners and everybody out there who will get to interact with this program. That we can be able to hold space for children who are coming up, for the undeserving children, for those who have no opportunities than we do, for those who are vulnerable, for those who face abuse and violence in households, for those who are orphaned. These are just some of the categories that children fall under, and they are actually highlighting why we need to make a very conscious and deliberate effort in fostering a very good and healthy strategic plan for our children care. So when we come back after 2 songs, we'll be delving into what this shift means particularly for our country. We'll be looking at the right of a child to a family. I don't know whether you knew that a child, when you're born, you have a right to a family. We'll be talking about that when we come back. My name is Omonde Chuka, and this is Power Morning Drive. Talk to us on Twitter or all our socials are Power Radio, Power Morning Drive, Power 254. This is Power Morning Drive.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Break up the makeup. Squeezy kuwa player in nature. We make up and break up. Giza inafuatwa na daytime. Na impact ni major. Nataka dem mwenye sifa za Maria. Urembo nje ya dunia. Figa ya chupa funikia. Nataka dem mwenye sifa za Maria. Urembo nje ya dunia. Figa ya chupa funikia. Oh, there she got fire underneath. Oh yeah, she got fire and fire and fire. I dreamt of a good girl with a behavior. Ay. A cute girl with no makeup, ay. And she makes her own paper. Oh, baby girl. Dreamt of a good girl with a behavior. Ay, there, ay, there, ay. Relationship yetu iko kwa replay. Nimeshazama niko kwa deep end. Now I'm dripping in your love. Ooh yeah. Relationship yangu imejaza madrama. But she a good girl, so nakazana. With her till the end, yeah. Nitamwita Mona Lisa. Juu picha zinasifika kwa Insta na kwa mitandaoni. Oh yeah. Nitamwita Mona Lisa. Juu picha zinasifika kwa Insta na kwa mitandaoni. I dreamt of a good behavior. Ay. A cute girl with no makeup, ay. And she makes her own paper. Oh, baby girl. Dreamt of a good girl with a behavior. Ay, there, ay, there, ay.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Na mimi nani ndo swali nauliza. Chukila tumbo imekata kushiba. Awase uko anatukanyagia. Tumechoka tunaumia. Sauti ya mnyonge nani atasikia. Ni wapi pa kukimbilia. Slogan utumishi kwa wote. Mbona tena unyanyase mnyonge. Haki sina amechukua yote. Na nchi imepakwa matope. Wololo 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 wololo.
Tumwamini nani?
We still not trust them. Hawatuwakilishi, kazi yao tu ni kukula. Parliament uko wera ama nikuza sura. Ulikuwa close na wananchi but tangu ofisini umaruka kaa chura. Kumbe ndo vako yako ukiget unaishia. Then after 5 years ukikam back una expect unakuchia. Umekula zote hadi set victims umeshindwa kulipa fidia.
Mafisi hao, waji hao, tajiri hao, bado hao. Wezi ni hao, walafi hao, mafisi hao, waji hao, tajiri hao, bado hao.
Basari ulipea mtoi wako badala ya ghetto youth. Tenda zote zilienda kwa kampuni ya you. Kumekenya the better option, tabaki tumepunguza you. Tired hadi toka tunadai mse wa kudu. We want paper, tumechoka kukaudu. Unaonekana gawansa after 4 years kali pia. Services to provide na taxes tushalipia. Next time ukamkututisha kura, mkono tunakutupia.
Wezi ni hao, walafi hao, mafisi hao, waji hao, tajiri hao, bado hao. Wezi ni hao, walafi hao, mafisi hao, waji hao, tajiri hao.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Jabe, imali loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, ijabe, utanimaliza nyako, ijabe, nataka fanya mambo, kweli jabe, imali loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, ijabe, utanimaliza nyako, ijabe, nataka fanya mambo. 1 for the blunt, 2 for the girl, and 3 for the things that she does after the blunt. She's a naughty queen, she wants a naughty king, yeah. Not an ordinary man, I cannot do that thing. Hola sexy mama, ebu cheki vile umesi mama. Unatutesa kwanza ukiinama. Jabe, kweli jabe, imali loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, ijabe, utanimaliza nyako, ijabe, nataka fanya mambo, kweli jabe, imali loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, ijabe, utanimaliza nyako, ijabe, nataka fanya mambo. Kusho uaga umeweza ukikuja zangu show, luku za kutesa wanauliza nani huyo, mrembo ameweza uye, jabe, yeah, and I be like, ajipodoi sana, hata maji akatangi sana, and I be like, yeah, mrembo sana, jabe, hola sexy mama, ebu cheki vile umesimama, unatutesa kwanza ukiinama. Jabe, kweli jabe, imani loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, jabe, nyako, jabe, kweli jabe, imani loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, jabe, nyako, jabe, kweli jabe, imali loko, alafu jabe, anaga mambo, jabe, utanimaliza nyako, jabe, nataka fanya mambo, kweli jabe. Jabe, Jabe, Jabe.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Hello there, good morning. My name is Omonde Chuka, and this is Power Morning Drive on Power Radio. You can talk to us on all our socials at Power Morning Drive hashtag. And so today we are talking about the shift that the Kenyan government is going to make in terms of the institutions of children's care. We know them as orphanages, ama children's home. So the government is proposing a bill or a law that is going to transition children that have been raised in orphanages to foster care. I think for a lot of us who are fans of film and movie, we see this, particularly in America and the UK, where they have a they have a system that takes up children through foster care, particularly children who are orphaned, children who are under threat of abuse and violence in households. So this actually is a much needed shift, and we need to really consider what does the conversation entails. What do we need to do, and what are we going to do about this shift as a country? What is the government proposing, and what is the implication? So the Kenyan government's reform efforts are guided by the Children's Act of 2022. This act emphasized the importance of family-based care, placing the responsibility on parents to provide for their child's well-being. This is according to Section 31 of the Children's Act of 2022. The Act also prioritizes kinship care, where children in need are placed with relatives whenever possible. This reflects a global understanding that children raised in families tend to have better social, emotional, and educational outcomes. And like we talked about earlier, when we give our children better values, when we give them the best care, when we provide for them a foundation to stand on. Remember, children usually grow on our shoulders. And if we have weak shoulders, if we have unreliable shoulders, then they also tend to falter through life. And things that happen between 0 and 12 years as a person, as a human being born into this world, tend to have very long-lasting effects and impact on the welfare and development of a person. So people who have very thorny and very disruptive childhood tend to also have very difficult demons to assuage as they come of age. So we're going to look in terms of what is the proposal about. In our next segment of our program today, we're also looking at what rights does a child have? Mtoi anakuwa na right gani? Talk to us. Ongea na sisi pale X at Power Morning Drive, Power Radio. Unadhani huu ukizaa mtoi, ama kwa wale wataki kuzaa watoi, those who want to be child free, what is your opinion? What do you think a child is entitled to? Remember, we bring these little kiddos into the world without their consent. Atuandikagi barua, hey, by the way, Morio, kujako next month February, ama next year February, ukuje tarehe 15 hivi, utatupata kama tuko hapa na mama yako, alafu tuanze maisha. And then you wait. Or a decline ama wata accept your offer. So they don't usually ask to be born. We never even asked to be born either way. That's the way it has been. But once that responsibility presents itself, what do we need to do? And for an active citizen, which is one of the values that Power 254 is really championing, what is your role? What is your voice? Because for a lot of times we tend to push everything to the government. We tend to push everything to CSOs, civil societies, and organizations. We tend to push everything to NGOs. We tend to push everything to churches, so that responsibility does not rest on our shoulders. But that is what I'm asking you today on our morning show. What do you think is your contribution? What do you think you can do pale mtaani? Because I'm very sure mtaani unajoga kuna an orphanage, kuna pale a children's home that you next, even some of these our helps do not come from very privileged families. Some of them lack. We have even friends amongst our social networks who are not very privileged as much as we are. So what do we need to do for their children? I know a lot of people grew up on scholarship. A lot of people walishikwa mkono na churches. A lot of people walipelekwa chuo na relax. A lot of people also were very much violated and abused by parents and relatives. Wale walifurushwa nje, maybe buda alipass na mama akapass, ama buda alipass mkacho pale orphaned, and then relatives wakakuja wakasema jo, itabidi mjiondoe. It's a very common case. And yet the government is saying that a child who is raised within a family setting, I don't know whether they're adding healthy. They should add healthy. In a healthy family setting, tend to have better outcomes on three very key fundamental issues. What are these key fundamental issues? We have social. A child grows up anapatana na beste yake. Anasema, hey, unaona ule njoki ni beste yangu. That's a social setup. They are building a social foundation. And then they have a right to school, to be taken to school where they're taught, to be taken to church where they are, or church or mosque, or any other religious institution where these values can be instilled to them based on the culture that is predominant in these families. And then they have a right to have their own autonomy and identity. That's why we give them names. That's why we anaitwa nilipea jina ya shushangu. According to many African customary laws, when a child is born, we give them names of people we revere, maybe our grandparents or a friend or somebody we just like in the society. So they have a right to identity so that they can build around this identity and form their own independence out of it. So children do have a right. And when you give birth to a child, you must be responsible for this particular responsibility that is placed upon you as a parent or as a foster caregiver. And that is what we're highlighting today, because I feel like the government is missing a very important gap. Most children, from what I've shared earlier, we have a group, two groups actually, that usually goes around and does volunteering and support services to many children's homes around the country, actually, mostly in Nairobi. And we realize that most of these children were picked from the street. Some of them were abused and raped. Some of them suffered violence in their households whenever, and then they had to run away. Some of them were abandoned in garbages. So somebody had to step in for them. And so the government is assuming that homogeneously these children do have a family somewhere. Most of these children, about 30 to 40%, cannot trace their roots. We do not know where they come from. They don't even know. You ask them, Daddy ni nani? Daddy nani to John. And that's a John Doe. It's a John Doe case, to be honest. So we have to be really honest with the government because they're missing a very important link. And when they say transitioning, it's either we have to have a good foster care system in place. That's number one. And then number two, we have to look at the issue of corruption because I think earlier on we were looking at the dailies and there was a lot of highlights of the US flagging Kenya for extortion and corruption, particularly in public tender. This also happens with children's service because what happens usually, the children's service department usually reimburses some money. So once they have identified a foster care parent or a foster care family, they are supposed to be going through a particular sensitization and training. Once that is completed, then they are elected to take in a child. So we can't trace where they come from. So when they're taken in, the government is now saying they are transitioning these children from orphanages to foster care. That means the children's institutions of care, CICs, are supposed to act as a custodian, but not permanently. Because for a long time, we know that orphanages used to hold people until they are 18. If I'm not wrong, I don't know if my producer will agree with me. Most people, they were held there, or they used to live in orphanages until they are 18, and now they can make their own lives. And then they leave space for the next generation of children to be raised under the same care. So they're saying that CICs, or the children's institutions of care, are supposed to be custodians as they transition from that to foster care. But we are missing the link of many children do not have very clear affiliation. They can't trace where they came from. Some of them probably were rescued when they were very young. Some of them were picked when they were abandoned. Some of them know very well where I come from. It's Mogadishu, it's warfare. So I can't go back there. And some of them were told by relatives, nisiwahi kuona hapa. And so the government is telling you that you want to take them back to the relatives because ideally the fundamental argument the government is making is a family setup is better than an orphanage. Yes, there are pros and cons to this argument or debate, but I think if we miss this fundamental link between children and a better foundation of their care, then we are going to hurt them further than we anticipate. And so we need to look in terms of how do we sanitize, because I know there's a lot of chaos in children's home. A lot of children's home or orphanages are really taking advantage. Some of them are not scrutinized because we don't have a proper regulatory law that looks into their affairs. How do they get money? If it is if it's donorship, if it's contributions by volunteers, if they have projects like farms, like one of our children's home has farms. It has wanarea kuku, kuna pale dairy, and they have a carpenter workshop and a garage. So these actually act as training or vocational training grounds for children who have proceeded to, let's say, a junior or senior high school, and or even post high school. And this can also provide a sense of home, because when we were growing up, we had a lot of activities from the farm to the Pale farm. We used to be sent to the shop. When our parents used to, my grandmother used to say, "Kora winja nidoko nindo cage. Ibu tedo nigikuon. Nisikie tu ng'ombe zimelala njaa, utawapikia ugali." So that gave us a sense of responsibility. And I think that's also the same model that we need to look in terms of how do we impart that on children's home. Because the condition in most children's home is not very good. Like I said earlier, they have a huge population they have to cater for, and they have very minimum resources. Most of them rely on donors, to be honest, and sometimes volunteers, and sometimes donations from well-wishers. And this might not be enough because they need to eat every day, they need to have clothes on their back, they need to go to school, they need to have a medical care, and they need to feel loved. And sometimes you find they only have two custodians who they call dad and mom. So these two people are supposed to be dad and mom to, let's say, 150 kids in a particular homestead, in a particular children's orphanage. So that does not turn out well because they are overwhelmed. If you as a parent who has maybe one or two kids, sometimes you weke kichwa wapi. Particularly shule zikifungua, you're like, hey, nitaweka kichwa wapi? Kuna bags zinahitajika, kuna pale vitabu, kuna exercise book, kuna textbooks, kuna fee hujalipa. Mtoto amekuwa mgonjwa na kunaga memo unatumiwa, nitakuwa mgonjwa next week. Unashtuka tu mtoto amekuwa mgonjwa. So there's a lot of things that leads to taking care of a child. And when we put this weight on foster parents or children's home, we are doing a disservice to our children. And yet, these are our future. I hate when they usually say that the youth are our future. The youth are the now. Ni sai. Hakuna malingine. Youth ni sai. Lakini the children, the damn future. So if we give them the best thing, I think that will be one of our noblest responsibility towards our children and the future of our country. We're going to have two songs. But first, let's talk about Yaba and Charisma. That was before we had Charisma with Gal, and it's Yaba with Jaber. I love that the Kenya music scene is becoming really, really beautiful. It's growing and it's vibrant. The contemporary Kenyan music is lovely to see. I love to watch it. I love most of my friends are having flourishing career and flourishing, contributing very well to the art scene. And as Power 254, that's one of our core values. How do we use art for agency? How do we champion for issues through art? Whether it is just feeling good and entertainment, but particularly edutainment, because we can weka kidogo love and also, tusukume pia, maudhui tofauti za social justice pale, za governance, za family like the one that we're talking about today. So if you're an artist, just drop a song, drop a good song about children. Talk about how we need to take care of them, how we can do our part in ensuring that children have a safe, healthy, and vibrant setting that they can grow up in. That's our role. That's our role as artists. That's our role as entities and organizations such as Power 254 that uses art and creative spaces to champion and broaden our perspective about these issues. Let's have 2 songs before that, and then we proceed with our discussion today.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Cool boy.
You are now in the zone.
Ukiwa mbali nimekasa, umefanya niwe kama zombie. Wanasema umeniwasha, wenibu yunamini bangi. Penzi letu litapasha, makuta kuzuka sitaki. Tamu wote minapata,
kama saa ya majira kwake mimi nasimama, napoteza dira kama teja mimi nazima, na zangu hisia kwake mimi nimekwama. Baby just leave it right there. Kwake mimi ugali bila mboga nitashiba, hata nidhurike kwa maradhi endo tiba. Udaraki wa 7 kiungo 8 mimi napiga. Baby just leave it right there. Anadeka nikimwambia kumwambia jinsi navyompenda, yeah. Jika kinilalia kutulia, ufuli yangu funguo ni yeye. Anacheka nikimwambia kumwimbia jinsi navyompenda, yeah. Mwimbia kugalia, ufuli yangu funguo ni yeye.
Nimejibeba, watapata tabu sana watakesha, wakiamba sana mimi nawe kuteta, niko shua na ndo maana mimi napeta. Nimejibeba, watapata tabu sana watakesha, wakiamba sana mimi nawe kuteta, niko shua na ndo maana mimi napeta.
Nachotaka uwe around me, ukiwa mbali ni mikasa, umefanya niwe kama zombie. Wanasema umeniwasha, wenibu yunamini rangi. Penzi letu litapasha, wakotai kuzuga sitaki. Tamu wote minapata, yeah.
Wale nikata, sifa mina kupa hawafiki unanga. Wene chuma umeniweza wekifa, chepura iwapendeza wanifa. All I want is your love, wako minapata endlessly. I want play with your heart, mina kupa si just Ipo, napenda jinsi ulivyo simple. Unapendeza na vidimpo, wanatamani uwe single. Ipo, napenda jinsi ulivyo simple. Unapendeza na vidimpo, wanatamani uwe single.
Vile umejibeba, watapata tabu sana watakesha, wakiomba sana mimi nawe kuteta, niko shua na ndo maana mimi napeta. Vile umejibeba, watapata tabu sana watakesha, wakiomba sana mimi nawe kuteta, niko shua na ndo maana mimi napeta, yeah.
Nachotaka niwe around me, ukiwa mbali nimekasa, umefanya niwe kama zombie. Wanasema umeniwasha,
wenibu yunamini rangi. Penzi letu litapasha, wako tai kuzuga sitaki. Tamu wote minapata, yeah.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
How the party I look so good in my dress. See you wanna look so, sipping on elixir, spin me, yeah. DJ on a mixer. Nah, watch how we murder them like rah. We come so far, praise to the Most High. Kumbaya, hit ni moto, Nairobi to Lesotho. Act like you know, see me on the dance floor.
I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah. 'Cause we on fire, DJs pop up the light.
Siaga kalamari kwa bahari, kijana machachari tena hodari. Kama vitu ni kali hakuna swali, vitu nafanya ili nipate mali. Mbwa akikimbiza mkia tasikia dizi, na nyani akianza kulia pewe ndizi. Na ngoma ikigonga ni chini kwa chini, chini kwa chini, chini kwa chini.
What do I know? Fighting the fire with fire, always be taking this high. What do I see? Sky is the limit for me, they cannot take that away. Kama kushine na shine na wow, kama kutupa kitupa mbao. Haba na jaza kibaba, hapo vipi, hapo fresh, come on.
I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. Cause we on fire, DJs spark up the lighter, music taking me higher. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. Cause we on fire, DJ spark up the lighter, music taking me higher. I'm feeling it, you feeling it.
First of all, you look mad as hell. You can't tell the way I'm doing well. You can't tell the way I'm gonna sell. You can't kiss my ass and go to hell. You can't see my life looking like a picture, looking like the bigger, better sister to your sister. Looking at my time, everything I mind, looking for a sign, $1,000,000 mind. What's on my raps? On Benny my bus, on Benny collabo, Kenny my snaps, now my hashtags, Kenny chats. Say many ni me wa mada tena to be outside. First of all, you look mad as hell. You can't tell the way I'm doing well. You can't tell the way I'm gonna sell. You can't kiss my ass and go to hell.
I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. Cause we on fire, DJ spark up the lighter, music taking me higher. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. I'm feeling it, you feeling it, nah nah nah. Cause we on fire, DJ spark up the lighter, music taking me higher. I'm feeling it, you feeling it.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Hello, good morning. My name is Omonde Chuka, and this is Power Radio, and this our show is Power Morning Drive. Hashtag Power Morning Drive. Talk to us on all our socials. Today we are talking about charitable children's institutions, also known as CCIs. And we're looking in terms of what the government is proposing to scrap off or transition children's institutions into foster care. So we're going to have sort of like what, I don't know, for a lot of people who watch movies, we see it a lot in the US and the UK, where they have foster care for children who are vulnerable, who are undeserving, who are, and when I say undeserving, ni kizungu tu mob. Undeserving means they don't have as much privilege as we do. So they are categorized as vulnerable. Maybe they don't have their parents. Maybe they are susceptible to abuse and violence within their household. So that is what it means to be undeserving. It is not because they don't deserve. Difference. Unaona kizungu mkuti imekuja hapo kidogo, but yeah, so that is what it means. So the government is proposing to transition, because we know that for a lot of people, most of us know them as children orphanages or orphanages basically. And it's a very I think that's what most of these people are also talking about in terms of looking. An orphanage sounds a bit discriminatory. You think about it, because these orphanages or these so-called children's home have children from different backgrounds. Some of them are rescued from very abusive and violent households. Some of them were abandoned, picked by the road. Some of them lost their parents and are orphans, so of course orphanage. But the point is they come from different backgrounds and they have very different circumstances. And that is the same thing that we are talking about. Most of us didn't have the same set of circumstances. Some of us had parents. Some of us didn't have parents. Some of us didn't even know parents. Some of us grew up with relatives. Some of us grew up in boarding school, literally. I know a friend of mine who literally, when there was a time to go back home, he would stay with the sisters back in boarding school in primary school. And he turned out fine, yeah. I think he's currently an engineer. And so I think that if we give our children the best foundation, then we are assured of a better future for our country. And as Power 254, we want to highlight our active voices as citizens, what we need to do in terms of not just highlighting these issues that prop up within our public discourse, but also in terms of reflecting on what personal or individual roles we can play in trying to support these initiatives, because we cannot leave the care. I like that back in the day in the 90s, for children who grew up in the 90s, kwanza ukipata ukienda pararo na paraparo mingine hata kuchapa na kupeleke home, akabe mama nani ama Jonte nipata Jonte akifanya dufararo huko kwa rive, and he was doing very very funny stuff, and you'd be given another good punishment, a good one. So I like that there was a sense of communal living. I think that is slowly dissipating with individualism coming in. But yet, we're realizing that the life of a child, or technically the life of an individual, is not an island. It's not isolated in a case, in a nutshell. We need to bring back the idea of community. Community, the idea of community initiative is one of the strongest pillars at Power 254. Because when we come together, think about that. When we come together is such a very important word. I think it's one of the words that used to fascinate me as a child. Together. Together. When we come together, we make the difference. Because we realize we have all sorts of background, all sorts of resources, all sorts of specialized skills, all sorts of perspectives and worldviews. That is our melting point. And that is what we need to customize when we are highlighting issues, so that we don't become perennial complainers, so that we don't become fault finders. We become solution-oriented. We become people who are able to take actively on decision, actively on inquiry. Because right now, a lot of issues go unscrutinized. The government just comes up with the policy. Unashtuka tu ilikuwa gazetted. It's on action. It's active, ongoing. And you do not know when it was gazetted. You don't know when the bill was tabled in parliament. And that is what we're doing through our radio. We are becoming a voice, amplifying these issues, telling you the needs and the bits of policy reforms, so that you can stay informed, so that you can look around your community and realize, what can I as a Chuka do? What do I as a Wanjiku, what can I do in my own small individual capacity to make a difference? And that is what we're looking at today. I'm going to go to the next segment of our program, and we want to look in terms of what are the challenges and the hurdles that are going to potentially be faced when this policy reform is initiated. So while the National Care Reform Strategy has very noble goals, implementing it is not easy. Some charitable children's institutions, CCIs, are resistant to change, fearing closure or a diminished role. There are also challenges in placing certain groups of children. And then children with disabilities and sibling groups often face difficulties finding foster families equipped to care for them. Perhaps the biggest hurdle is funding. Limited resources can make it difficult for families to adequately care for their children, potentially leading to a return to institutional care. Let's break down that a little bit. So we've realized that charitable children's institutions that are also called CCIs have been a bit resistant, and they have a reason to be resistant. First of all, a lot of these institutions have really taken a huge shoe. We cannot be able to fill that. And because the idea of foster care is still very new to our country, we might not be able to fill that shoe or that responsibility adequately. And so we might not need to completely phase out these CCIs. We need to do a transition, which is what I'm glad the government is proposing, an 8-year-old period where they can phase the CCIs off and then move to foster care. That's a very good, noble idea. But we find that they have been really hesitant, and they have a good cause for it. One of the good arguments, because one, most children, like he said, we categorizing children as orphans. That means they're having a link to a family is very misleading. Most of these children do not have a clear link to a family. They don't have any non-relatives, And even if they do, some of these relatives who are very abusive and violent to them. And then we have what they call sibling group. For example, twins. We know the bond between twins is very deep, and sometimes separating them can cause harm to them, to their emotional and social well-being. And then we also have children, like for example, kama uli grow up na ulikuwa na your sibling, your sis, ama your bro, maybe ulikuwa 10 na yeye alikuwa 8. So in a way, unafeel grow up kwa very violent household, ama mulikuwa too street, they become like your responsibility. You are so attached to them, such that when you're separated, it now creates a different problem altogether. It doesn't solve the problem that it intended to. It's creating a different problem for these kids. So that is another group of kids that it's very interesting to look at. And then the children living with disability. That's a very important group. Like for autistic people. I remember when I was growing up, I struggled, with ADHD and autism. And it was really hard growing up because back then it wasn't such a highlighted case. And then we have children who are probably dyslexic, people who struggle with reading and learning, And then we have people who have physical disabilities. They might be having their hearing impaired or vision impaired. They might be having a wheelchair. So they need special care and equipment built within their house. How do we, because these children need more tailored response and needs met. So how do we cater for those particular groups of people? And sometimes you find that these children's institutions have better equipment than maybe a foster care family would. And then the biggest of all challenges is funding, of course. Like I said earlier, most of these CCIs rely on donations from well-wishers. And sometimes they also have side projects, particularly agriculture and hard skills like vocational trainings that sustain day-to-day running. Running a children's home is not very cheap. Particularly, let's even just take food alone. Food every other day. You realize the budget they're putting into food is a lot of money. And because it's never guaranteed, they have to look for donors, they have to look outside, they have to ask people to donate. Sometimes kids even go hungry within this children's home. So without our contribution individually and as a collective group, this initiative is going to face one of the difficult hurdles. And of course, on the same vein of funding, we realize that there has been a lot of issues of how the government reimburses money. The government is supposed to be releasing money through social worker and through the children's service department, and this money is going to be relayed to the foster parent or the foster family. Sometimes this money is delayed, sometimes it's not even there, sometimes it's squandered before it even reaches the intended person. So these are some of the issues that we need to look at. We can't bury our heads that it's going to just transition on smoothly. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this issue. I don't know whether you think it's a noble idea that we should transition and phase out CCIs, or we should keep them or retain them and give them capacity, build them. Have a law in place that regulates how they operate, their funding, and have maybe a subsidy fund. In my opinion, I think we can also create a subsidy fund because, like you said, they rely heavily on donations. So if the government through the children's service can take advantage, because they already have an institution. Remember, some of these children's home have a whole village, like a model of a village. They have a church. Like I remember one in a village called Hope. Hope has a church. They have a hospital. They have a school from grade 1 to grade 8. Understand? They have a farm, and they have a football academy. So that's more like a model of a village, which is why what I was telling you earlier on, there are rights that a child has. So these rights vary or range from educational to social to religious, depending on the background, to cultural, to identity. These rights are non-negotiable. That is what we need to look. When you bring somebody into this world, you don't need to feel like when you take them to school, then you need to, I'm taking you to school or putting a roof on top of your head. That is your responsibility as a parent. We only need to instill a sense of responsibility in the child. Let them know that at this time, ni zamu yangu ya to take care of you. But someday, it will also be you to take care of another person instead of using a threat. I think that's a better and a healthy way of raising children so that we don't repeat the same abusive and combatant behavior that some of us witnessed when we were growing up. Some of us witnessed violence in our household. Some of us witnessed very unspeakable abuse. And so we need to deviate and make better changes within our households, within our families. And one way of doing that is starting within your families. If you have cousins and nephews and nieces, that is the first front that you need to start from. Because when you instill that around you, you are able to create a model. Somebody can look at nani anapendaga watoi wake, anakuwa I'm responsible. I can also do that for my family. And then also when you're donating to somebody or to a children's home, you're doing it from a place of love. You're doing it from a place of conscious and deliberate effort. And that is what the idea of community building comes in. Because we are not, no matter how much sometimes the modern world makes us feel that we are sufficient in our individual spaces, we are not. All of us, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much social capital you have, no matter how much you feel you can barge through life, we all need each other. And particularly raising children, community comes in very handy. Right now, kids are coming back to school. They're going to have at least 3 weeks at home. What are we going to do about how we raise them? During this time is when we find teenage pregnancy spikes, number one. We find rape for our young girls. We find boys engaging in risky sexual behaviors or drug abuse, drug and substance abuse. We find them fighting mtaani. So we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to do to put in place so that our children can grow up in a healthy space, so that they can feel that they belong, so that kukiwa na ngori, one of the things that I love about parenting, especially even for me and my daughter, that we have created a space where even when they feel that they have done wrong or not done something to the best of our expectations, she can come to me and tell me, Daddy, this and this happened. And I will not reprimand her. I will create an opening space, because the one thing that teaches a child is the curiosity. And when we create so many walls around their curiosity, they become stifled children who have no voice. And that's one of the biggest issues we are dealing with as a country today. We have a population that has no voice. Voice is an important part of identity and autonomy and dignity. As Power 254, we amplify our voices. Our voices are our own identity, unique identities. It is what enables us to express ourselves, to express our desires and needs, to express our inquiries into reforms and policies and issues that are pressing us, both in the community and individually. So if our voices are stifled, we grow up stressed. And that is why we have people who reaching the farthest end of their wits, taking their own lives, resorting to abuse and violence, because their voices are stifled. And when your voice is stifled, you do not know how to express yourself. You think that lashing out or beating your partner or beating your children is the way out. It is not. Expressing your voice kindly and graciously is not weakness. It's a sign of maturity, and that is where we need to go when we look at our children, because at some point, these children will be big people, or adults. They'll be adulting someday. So we need to give them a better space as they grow up. I'll have 2 songs before we get back. But earlier there, we had Mayonde and Blinky Bill with a very beautiful song. I'm feeling it. So I'm feeling it today. Are you feeling it Wednesday? It's Wednesday, ladies' night. It's ladies' night today. I don't know what you will be doing for your partners, particularly for the ladies, for your friends and lovers and partners, for your mothers and sisters and your aunties. It's just for the ladies. Wednesday is for the ladies. And we're also against the backdrop of Easter. I don't know what you did over the Easter, if you had a restful weekend, if you had an eventful one, if you had a dramatic one. Talk to us on all our socials at Power 254, Power Radio, hashtag Power Morning Drive. Let's have 2 more songs and then we come back and wrap up the show.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Oh na 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 na.
searching for affection. I'm seeking attention, searching for affection. I'm seeking attention, searching for affection. Seeking attention, searching for affection. I want to leave this place. 'Cause I'm looking for my homeland. Nimechoka kukaa hapa. Nataka mabawa nipae, 'cause I want to go. Nataka kwenda I found I'm always seeking attention. I found I'm always seeking love. Ego overrides me and blinds me. I found I'm always seeking attention, searching for affection. I'm seeking attention, searching for affection. I'm seeking attention, searching for affection. Seeking attention, searching for affection. Now that I've seen this face, now they may recognize the culture. Ningependa kukaa hapa, ili vita nishinde before I go. Kabla niende I found I'm always seeking clarity. I found I'm always seeking the truth. Lust is always following and hunting me. I found I'm always seeking attention, searching for affection. I'm seeking attention, searching for affection. I'm seeking attention, searching for affection. Seeking attention, searching for affection.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Oya rada ni gani imekuwa fiti sana. Our show today, we were talking about children's home, ama children's care institutions known as CCI. So the government has been proposing to phase them out in the next 8 years so that we can build a foster care system through Children's Service Department. So as we wrap up the show, we want to look at the Building Bridges, a collaborative affair. Now, the success of the National Care Reform Strategy hinges on collaboration between different stakeholders. CCIs can play a crucial role by transitioning into respite centers, offering temporary care to give foster families a break. The government is also stepping up, providing financial support to families through cash transfer programs. This collaborative approach with families, communities, CCIs, and the government working together is essential to ensure a smooth transition and positive outcome for the children involved. Earlier on, we had Waithera with seeking attention. Ask them, oh, you want to have attention, but sometimes attention is one of the ways that children seek our gaze. Remember, they don't have their speech or their language of their communication well developed. So sometimes, particularly during teenage, like my daughter is now a teenage, sometimes she's just too moody in her own world. I try to understand because when I was growing up, I needed someone to understand me during that time. And our children, most of us don't have the same privileges as our children do. Some of them are living in orphanages as we do speak. Some of them are in the streets. I'm very sure you have seen from all over the world, from Mombasa to Kisumu to Nairobi to Kitale to Lodwar, they are street families. So we can say authoritatively that children do not have the same set of circumstances. And while the government has proposed a very noble initiative in terms of creating a good and responsive and healthy foster care, we need to look back and we need to look inward and outward at the same time and see that what can we do towards this very pressing issue. I know that children for a long time, because sometimes are left, to fate. And there are people who grew up like that. Some of them made it, but I think when you're left to fate, the difficulty you bear, the weight you bear on your shoulders become increasingly harder. And I think that is what the government is seeking to elevate, to try and make it bearable so that we can create safe spaces. We are seeing a huge implosion of mental health, particularly amongst our youth. Whether or not this is a crisis, I do not know what your take is about it, but I think it's something that needs address. And we realize that most of our mental health issues are products of our upbringing. When our upbringing of a child is chaotic, unhealthy, abusive and violent, it tends to affect them lifelong. And this is the key and crucial decision we have to make as a country so that we can offer a safe space for their growth and prosperity. It has been a good ride for me today as we take a recap on Easter break and we look to a better and productive month. It's April. I don't know what visions or what goals you have for this April. And I wish you prosperity. I wish you a good month of ease and comfort and grace. I wish you well. I wish you a better week ahead. Catch you on Friday. This has been Power Morning Drive, and my name is Omondi Chuka. I've been your loving and humble host.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
This salivation to all the females, far and beyond. Now daughters, born I'm a girl, living in a manly world, yeah. No bed for me back, unless somebody gonna take me in. Papa say you better find your place. Time to hand your bed for me little ones. Brother say you better find a man. Need a settlement for me investment. Only 16. Growing up a woman and no choice. Oi unalia. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. Oi unalia no. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. You are gonna rise up one day, now lose hope. Child of the earth, don't you ever lose your glow. Oi nalia no. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. So me head to the city with little education for me back. To stay with an uncle and an aunt as a help for his life. I know big young lady hit the flow. When wife away, man, I wanna touch me low. Try to refuse, yeah, go suffer some blows. What is my crime? Is it because I'm a woman? No. Just because I'm a woman? No. Oi unalia. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. Oi unalia no. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. You are gonna rise up one day, now lose hope. Child of the earth, don't you ever lose your glow. Oi nalia no. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. So me meet another brother, he must say I need a wife. We cook and clean and me know me need a bed. Now to save me this shame, baby save me this shame. Messiah turned the devil drawing blood from my skin now. No. Broken bones, shattered dreams. I'm in pain, cannot breathe. Oi unalia. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. Oi unalia no. Nakucheki vile unasafa no. You are gonna rise up one day, now lose hope. Child of the earth, don't you ever lose your glow. Oi nalia no. Nakucheki vile unasafa no.
From sunrise to sunset, all day